Okay, we're back. We got our deed plotted. Labels are blocks. This is still a block. There's another important step I'd like to do here. I'm going to go to my point groups. This is in the tool space prospector tab. Let's suppose that's missing. Oops. Now what do? We go to general up here, hit tool space, and it's back. And that other thing I had was a properties menu, which this is how I like to, you can move them around. I like to have it on top of there, just personal preference. It's a little finicky getting it where you want it. Okay, that's how, just personally, that's the way I like it. So I'm going to go in this prospector tab, point groups. And this is important. It's one of the big things with this template. So we're going to hit point groups, update. Oh, what happened in our drawing? A bunch of things disappeared. Something that was called a lid now looks like a circle. Spot elevations look like spot elevations. Utility poles look like utility poles. This thing looks like a fire hydrant. This thing looks like a sign with a label that says sign that we can move around. This thing, what is it? Click it. It's a pin CF. It's an iron pin style, so that's a property corner that we found. And then our job that later is going to be to move all this text around so that it's readable. Before we start manipulating these points further, we want to select the points back under the prospector tab. We're going to right click that and we're going to lock points because we want to preserve this data that was so laboriously collected in the field. So now if I select this point and I hit the M command, enter for move, and I grab it and I'm going to move it over here and destroy the data for this point. It won't allow me to do that. I can still move the text around, but this point is locked now and I'm unable to move it. That was an important step. Now that we've done that, we're ready to start dealing with this block of data that we brought in from the field. We're going to click that with a left click. So I escape to unselect it. I'm going to window it or just click on it. It's selected. I'm going to hit X for explode. Now it's the individual entities. It's no longer just one big piece. Okay, so what do we need to do now in order to generate a surface? Something here got a little screwy. We'll fix that later. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Anyway, this is pavement. So we're going to select that. See, it's on the pavement layer. It is a 3D polyline. We're going to select this concrete. Also a 3D polyline. What is this? I can put my mouse over it. It's a wall. So that's also a 3D polyline. What is this? Walls. And wall, 3D polyline. It's concrete, 3D. So, all right, I've selected several things that are 3D polylines. What does that mean? That means that they have three-dimensional data. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit select similar. It's going to grab all the other 3D polylines that are on those layers. What is this thing? That's a fence. It's on the fence layer. If you zoom in real close, you can see that it looks like a fence. So now I'm going to copy this data. This is my workaround for this. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to select, and then I'm going to hit P for previous selection. It's selected this same selection again, not the one that was copied, but this one. I right click to accept it. All right, these are all selected now. We're going to put them on our V surface fault layer, which is our break line layer. Okay, that's on there. That's all 3D stuff. That's good. We're going to right click down in the command line. I want to check something here. Options, drafting. This replace Z value is not selected, which is good for the purposes of this following command that we're going to run. We're going to do the line. We're going to select this. I want to be on that layer, so I'm going to put my mouse over that. See, it says make that object's layer your current layer. Okay, now we're on the V surface fault layer. I'm going to do line. I'm going to connect all these center lines, because as you know, the center line of the road is generally higher than the edges to prevent ponding in the middle of the road. Oops. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo that last snap, because it's important that that circle pops up and I'm getting it right on the node, because it's drawing these lines in 3 dimensions, which is important for your break lines. Enter to stop. I don't think I need this little segment. Delete that. Okay, well, why did we copy this over here? I'll show you why. Well, we don't like dealing with 3-dimensional polylines in the regular drafting process. So we're going to window that selection. Going to go over here to modify. Under this modify section, we're going to drop this down. Going to convert all 3D polylines to 2D. And then we're going to select this again in the properties window. Going to make their elevation 0. So this is all flat. This is just for mapping. We're also going to get rid of this. I'm going to make my pavement layer current. I'm going to do an arc from this point through that point, end it here. And I'm going to trim out TR, trim out this wacky section of polyline that Field Software drew in, and delete that. That looks better. PE, polyline edit, join, right click to select it, enter to exit the command. Now it's all one piece. It's cleaned up. Gonna grab this. Wait, first I'm gonna right click down here, options, drafting, replace C with current value. We're done drawing in 3-dimensional lines now. Apply, leave that on for the rest of the project. Move this line work from that endpoint to there. That's back where it belongs. And now that we've done that, we've got all our 3-dimensional line work in here, but it's underneath this 2-dimensional line work. And we're going to move on to creating the surface. So I'm going to stop here. We'll do that in the second video.